Pope Leo XIV responds to Captain Ibrahim Traoré, a call for peace, justice, and moral leadership. Introduction. In a significant and symbolic gesture that has captured the attention of international observers and faith communities alike, Pope Leo XIV has officially responded to Captain Ibrahim Traoré, the transitional president of Burkina Faso and a rising figure in African political discourse. The Vatican's message, steeped in the values of peace, justice, and solidarity, represents more than just a diplomatic communication. It is a powerful moral intervention at the crossroads of geopolitics, religion, and the future of Africa. Let's delve into the context, content, and consequences of Pope Leo XIV's response, and explore what it means for Burkina Faso, the Catholic Church, and the global community. Background: who is Captain Ibrahim Traoré? Captain Ibrahim Traoré is a Burkinabe military officer who rose to power in 2022 after leading a coup that ousted the previous transitional president. Frustrated by the ongoing jihadist insurgency and instability in the region, Traoré took leadership under the banner of national security, sovereignty, and African self-determination. Since then, his rhetoric and policies have gained both praise and criticism, some viewing him as a patriotic reformer, others as a military strongman. What cannot be denied is his growing influence across West Africa, especially among youth and Pan-African thinkers. Why Pope Leo XIV's response matters. The papacy has long been a moral voice in world affairs. From mediating conflicts to promoting global peace, the Vatican holds soft power rooted not in weapons, but in wisdom, tradition, and spiritual influence. Pope Leo XIV, known for his assertive yet compassionate leadership, brings a new wave of global moral diplomacy. By addressing Captain Traoré directly, the Pope is not merely entering political discourse, he is reminding the world of the Church's commitment to justice, peace, and human dignity, especially in regions facing political uncertainty. Key themes of the papal response. Here are the central themes highlighted in Pope Leo XIV's message. 1. A call for peace in a turbulent region. Peace is not the absence of war but the presence of justice, dignity, and hope. The Pope praised Burkina Faso's desire for sovereignty and security but urged that these goals must be pursued without bloodshed, political repression, or disregard for civil rights. He emphasized the Church's solidarity with innocent civilians caught between violence and poverty, and encouraged dialogue between political leaders, religious communities, and grassroots movements. 2. The dignity of human life and governance. Every soldier who becomes a leader must remember that the sword may protect, but only justice can govern. The pontiff reminded Captain Traoré that leadership is a sacred trust, especially in a nation where the people yearn for change, equity, and inclusion. He stressed the importance of transitional justice, accountability, and the development of a political culture grounded in ethics and human rights. 3. Religious freedom and coexistence. In a land of many faiths, the strength of the nation lies in the harmony of its believers. Pope Leo XIV called for the protection of religious minorities, especially Christians, Muslims, and traditional faith communities affected by extremist violence. He underscored the importance of interreligious dialogue as a tool for national healing and reconstruction. 4. Youth and the future of Africa. The youth of Africa carry the seeds of tomorrow, may we water those seeds with wisdom, not war. Recognizing Captain Traoré's support among young Africans, the Pope invited him to use that influence to empower education, jobs, and civic engagement, rather than militarism or populist ideologies. He stressed that true revolution lies in rebuilding minds and institutions, not merely replacing governments. 5. Environmental responsibility. In a surprising yet welcome addition, Pope Leo XIV mentioned the Sahel's ecological challenges. He urged the Burkinabe leadership to protect the land from desertification and displacement, in alignment with the Vatican's ecological message outlined in Laudato Si' symbolic actions and gestures. Alongside his written response, Pope Leo XIV took the following symbolic steps. Sent a delegation of African cardinals to Ouagadougou for dialogue with both government and religious groups. Pledged Vatican support for humanitarian aid, particularly for displaced families and victims of terrorism. called for a regional prayer day across African dioceses to intercede for peace and transformation in the Sahel. Reactions from around the world. Burkina Faso. Reactions were mixed. While many religious leaders welcomed the Pope's moral guidance, some political advisors to Captain Traoré viewed the message as a veiled critique of his military-led governance. However, ordinary citizens, particularly Catholics and Muslims alike, saw the papal message as a breath of hope. African Union. The AU praised the message as an example of faith diplomacy and called for increased collaboration between the Church and African institutions. Global Church. Catholic communities around the world, especially in Latin America and Asia, resonated with the Pope's emphasis on peace and justice in developing nations. Focusing on implications, challenges, and a call to action. Implications: why this exchange is so significant. 1. Reclaiming the moral high ground in African leadership. This response from the Vatican comes at a time when military takeovers are on the rise across West Africa. With coups in Mali, Guinea, Niger, and Burkina Faso, the Church's intervention reflects a growing concern: how can African nations pursue reform without sacrificing democracy or dignity? By responding publicly to Traoré, Pope Leo XIV may be setting a new moral precedent, calling leaders to remember that power without conscience is dangerous, and reform without compassion is empty. 2. A test for the global Church. Burkina Faso is home to a significant Catholic population, yet the Church operates in a tense environment marked by Islamic extremism, poverty, and internal displacement. The Pope's message reminds clergy and lay people alike of their duty to be peacemakers, educators, and advocates, even in the face of hardship. This may lead to greater Vatican support for local churches and schools, increased collaboration between bishops, imams, and traditional leaders, a renewed focus on the Church's role in rebuilding society, not just offering sacraments. 3. The rise of African voices in the Vatican. Pope Leo XIV's delegation included prominent African cardinals, which many interpret as a nod to the growing influence of Africa within global Catholicism. In fact, this move could pave the way for more African representation in the College of Cardinals, potential future African Pope discussions, greater emphasis on African theology, art, and spirituality in Vatican affairs. Challenges and cautions ahead. While Pope Leo XIV's words are wise, their application remains difficult in the realpolitik of modern Africa. Captain Traoré is still leading a transitional military regime, and any shift toward full democracy will require transparent electoral processes, regional cooperation to fight terrorism without oppressing civil liberties, a commitment to disarmament, demilitarization, and truth commissions. Moreover, the challenge remains whether such moral guidance will be heeded by leaders who often operate in complex alliances with foreign powers, business interests, and regional blocs. A call to action: what can the people do? The message of Pope Leo XIV is not just for leaders, it is for all people of goodwill, especially in Africa. Here are ways individuals and communities can act. 4. Faith leaders. Organize interfaith peace conferences and local prayer days. Teach the principles of Catholic social teaching: dignity, solidarity, subsidiarity, and the common good. For civil society. Encourage peaceful advocacy for justice and democratic reforms. Launch education initiatives focused on civic rights, history, and leadership. For the African diaspora. Raise international awareness of Burkina Faso's complex realities. Support development projects, youth mentoring, and media storytelling that build up Africa's image and capacity. Closing thoughts: a new chapter for Church and State. The Pope's response to Captain Ibrahim Traoré may be remembered as a watershed moment in 21st century Catholic diplomacy. It demonstrates that the Church is listening, engaging, and acting, even in places where hope seems fragile and futures uncertain. Whether this response will lead to transformation in Burkina Faso depends not just on one captain or one pope, but on all of us, leaders, believers, and citizens alike. Let justice roll on like a river, righteousness like a never Failing stream. Amos 5 verse 24. Conclusion, a dialogue between power and conscience. The exchange between Pope Leo XIV and Captain Ibrahim Traoré is more than a political moment, it is a dialogue between temporal power and spiritual conscience. At a time when Africa is at a critical crossroads, such interactions can light the way forward for peaceful, just, and truly sovereign leadership. By choosing to engage, not condemn, to bless, not interfere, Pope Leo XIV has once again reminded the world that the Church does not merely speak to souls, but also to societies.